call last week. Mr. Dean Tarrolly, thank you so much. It's good seeing you, sir. Look at you, all ready to go. I can tell Mr. Tarrolly is ready to go. Look at him. He is sitting. He's got his coffee in him. He's probably working on the second one. Good morning, everyone out there. I don't know. Hold on a second. Let's see what we're looking at. Hold on, everybody. Wait 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Thank you all. Well, listen, thank you all for being on the call today. I'm sorry I was just a little bit late. I was on a call. But thank you guys for being on the call today. As you know, we have some exciting calls, and we're going to end the month with Mr. Dean Tarrolly. We had 4 consecutive Thursdays with him, and we all love him. He's one of my favorite speakers. I don't say that because he's on here. Even in my text messages I sent out, I said one of my favorites. So without further ado, we're going to let him do his thing, and hopefully got enough time for a little Q&A for people that have got any questions. Just get it ready or write it down. Don't ask him right now because he's always got something on his heart first to talk about, and then he'll wrap it up with Q&A. So without further ado, my dear friend, Regional Vice President Platinum from Southern California, the great, the one and only, incomparable Mr. Dean Tarrolly. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Thomas, good morning. How are you, sir?
Sensational. Now we got you on here, sir.
Outstanding. Appreciate it. Well, likewise, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Yeah, I have a few thoughts. This has been an interesting week, and some really good things going on. And Mr. Thomas sent you a private message just for you to take a look at, and you can if you can send me a text when you get that and just give me your thoughts, that would be great. That's just between you and I.
Okay.
You guys, in person, in my position, I'm always going to check in with the people who've mentored me and people that I learned from, like Mr. Thomas. So, so you guys, we've covered a lot of ground the last few weeks, and what I want to do is have a little more of an advanced conversation with you guys. So, and Mr. Thomas, as I always say, if I am getting a little advanced or a little ahead of where maybe the crew is, you know my deal. Throw a flag, and I have a regrouping conversation that's very, very easy. So, but here's the thing I want to tell you guys. You and I, in doing ACN, and something that you've heard me say about Mr. Thomas, one of our jobs is to be a talent scout, and you need to decide if that's something that you have to decide if that's something that you're comfortable with. So this might sound a little confusing, but I'm going to clear it up for you. When I say that you're a talent scout, what I'm saying is there are tons of people out there that are waiting, ready, and willing, and want to do a business like ACN, like you have, like Mr. Provenzano used to say, Larry Raskin used to say, you have a miracle in your mouth. You have an opportunity that anyone and everyone should hear about. Whether they do it, that's on them. But when you're building an organization and you understand the compensation plan, I'm going to talk to you guys about a topic that I think is tremendously important. It is a leadership topic, and it is grossly misunderstood. And here's what it is. And this is all in searching, seeking, looking for, drafting the best talent available. One of the best ways that I found to do that is not to just shotgun and spray a bunch of information everywhere. I don't think that works as well. What I like to do is taproot. So what I want to talk to you guys about is the philosophy and really what I think is the art of taprooting. So when you're talking about taprooting an organization or taprooting a line or taprooting a group, what does that mean? I'm going to give it to you in very simple terms, and I'm going to give it to you maybe, you know, in not so simple terms. The simple terms is this. If you guys just watch this. Next, 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 as deep as you go. The problem is that so many of you, and I did this in the beginning as well, you fall in love with your team. You fall in love with your group. You fall in love with Mr. B. You fall in love with the organization. You fall in love, and there's an issue with that. There's an issue with that. Love makes you do crazy things. And now you find yourself spending all this time with people who don't have the same vision, who don't have the same desire, who don't have the same goals, who don't have the same work ethic. Old conversations do not make you new money. So let me explain what I mean by that. Conversations about the same reps. Now, look, understand, I said this is going to be more of a leadership conversation. So this is going to be different than what we've talked about before. Mr. Thomas, do I have your clearance? Do I have your permission?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Please do.
Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So you guys, this is going to, well, maybe this will be a cup of coffee for some of you. There's such a big difference between doing ACN and thinking about ACN. Because we can in our whole day, we can send emails, we can do some follow-ups, we can check our reports, we can do all this kind of stuff. That's not building ACN. Here's what's building ACN. And here's what I want you guys to really think about. And this is all going to circle back to taprooting. I want you to really consider this. If you are not getting a new rep on your team and you're not putting in a new customer on your team, you are not doing ACN. You are preparing to do ACN. You are getting yourself set up to do ACN. The compensation plan does not pay you for any of that stuff. It pays you for two things: getting a customer, signing up a rep, and helping them get customers. That's it. That's all it pays you for. Now, why do we also include the international training in that? Because the company understands that having a group of educated, informed team members versus uneducated, uninformed, uninspired team members, those are two completely different teams. But I'm telling you, the only thing, you guys look at the comp plan. Trust me, I know the comp plan. I've been doing this for a long time. I know the comp plan. And there's no place in the comp plan for counseling. You don't get paid to do it. Now, do we need to do it? Yeah, we need to do it to a large degree. Well, if Cali Colombian, hey, hola, ¿cómo está? You guys, we have to understand the business that you're in. You are on a talent search. Do not get hung up in one person. Now, does that mean you shouldn't be attached at the hip with them and go to work for them and help them? Absolutely, you should do that. But once you've gotten them qualified, once you've gotten them learning the system, learning the website, learning the back office, learning these things, once you have done that, guess what most people do in my experience? It is very comfortable to hang around with reps that have been in for a long time. In fact, you can hide behind those people. You can hide behind those people, right? What do I mean by that? Well, it's very easy to hide behind the team that you've started to work. It's very hard to hide behind the team that you have built, the familiar names. You guys want a challenge? Here's a freaking challenge for you. Go put a new person in your business. Go, by this time next week, by this call next week, here's a challenge for you. Start a new group. I don't want to hear anything about any of your existing groups. Start a new group. A couple very important things happen. You're leading by example and you're showing everybody that you're not waiting for them. Leaders do not wait for the team. Leaders help the team. Leaders support the team. Leaders encourage the team. Leaders educate, teach, train the team. They do not wait for their team. And something amazing happens that duplicates in your group. And mark my words, as you start to do something, this is why you hear leaders like Mr. Thomas talk. He's like, phase one. Look at it, when you start doing phase one, personally peaking, personally recruiting, personally doing the things you want your team to do, you're not leaving your team behind. You're showing them how to do the business. I hope that makes sense. So how does this all come back to taprooting? I'm gonna give you an example. I'll use names right here. Let's say, hey Magda, I'll use names right here. Let's say I have, let's say Doug Soto. Doug Soto joins the team. I'm gonna get with him. I'm gonna launch his business. I'm gonna learn about his reason why. I'm not gonna spend 10 days on his reason why. I'm gonna spend 5 minutes. So now his reason why anchors why he's doing ACN. Someone won't get a customer, your reason why needs to be bigger than their negativity. Someone doesn't want to look at the business, your reason why needs to be bigger than their negativity. Someone is not interested, someone passes, someone looks at the business and says no. Is your reason why bigger than their responses? And if it is, this is never going to be an issue. So you have to have a vision bigger than the circumstances. Okay, done. Now, Doug joins the team and Doug says, And I say to Doug, listen to this, you guys, follow me on this today. I say to Doug, magic words, and here's what those words are. Who do you know? Oh, you got to talk to my friend Luisa Otavaro. Hope I said that right. So, or I hope I got it close. No? Otavaro? Closer? Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go with Luisa. Douglas says, you got to meet my friend Luisa. I said, great, I want to meet Luisa. So watch this, you guys. Doug, I find Luisa. Hey, Luisa, who do you know? She introduces me to Luda. Hey, Luda, who do you know? Introduces me to Brandon. Hey, Brandon, who do you know? Introduces me to Magda. Hey, Magda, who do you know? Introduces me to Natasha. Hey, Natasha, who do you know? Introduces me to Ryan. Hey, Ryan, who do you know? Introduces me to Brian Baker. And Brian Baker, all of a sudden, he's like, Brian's calling me more than I'm calling him. Brian's got questions for me. How does the comp plan work? I want to get these customers. I want to get to 60 points. Brian, hey, Dean. Hey, Dean, I went on the website and I looked up this, and this, and I could do this, and this. Oh my God, wait a minute. So Douglas led us to Luisa, who led us to Luda, who led us to Brandon, who led us to Magda, who led us to Natasha, who led us to Brian. So I am on a talent search to find that person. Now watch this, you guys. You got to hang with me on this. Okay, now watch this. Guess what I just did? Did I do something great for, did I do something great for Ryan? Better believe it. Got him a rep. Did I do something great for Natasha? Better believe it. For Magda, for sure. For Brandon, 100%. For Luda, definitely. For Luisa, absolutely. And for Doug Soto, guess what happened to Doug Soto's business because of what I did as the leader? Doug now has a group. Who's in his group? Well, Doug has Luisa, and Luisa has Luda. Luda has Brandon. Brandon has Magda. Magda has Natasha. Natasha has Ryan, and Ryan has Brian. Do you guys realize that if you help everybody at least get customer qualified and maybe a couple reps or two, I'm telling you that organization has well over 200 points, and that's within its first month, period. I'm not even open to the discussion that wouldn't happen. But what did I have to do? Now, what if I did this? Douglas joins the team. Hey, Doug, how you doing? How you feeling? We're going to get together. We're going to talk about your mom who said that she wouldn't, that's, I know, I really feel like, well, yeah, okay, well, listen, do you have some people that maybe we could talk to about the business and maybe check it out? And no, you don't. Okay, well, let's get together tomorrow and, hey, go make sure you read that one chapter of that book. That is, you guys, that is counseling. Now, is there an element of counseling? Definitely. There is an emotional element to this business. We understand. What is going to help you become a great taprooter? Emotional maturity. If you are emotionally mature about how to deal with people, and you can let them know in advance, these things are going to happen. People are going to join, people are going to quit, people are going to start, people are going to stop, people are going to be interested, people will not be interested, and all those things are going to happen. But guess what happens for you when you get great at taprooting? You're building a business for all of those people. And guess what your obligation as a leader is? And Mr. Thomas, if I'm saying something that does not, which I don't think I do, but if I say something that is sideways of what it is that you teach your team, please stop me. And I have no problem being corrected by a mentor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Your obligation, in my opinion, is not to make people money. They have to participate in that. Your obligation is to build them an organization. Your obligation is to build them an organization. So if Douglas is the new person on my team, and Douglas got Luisa, and Luisa got Luda, and Luda got Brandon, and Brandon got Magda, and Magda got Natasha, and Natasha got Ryan, and Ryan got Brian. Did we build Douglas Soto an organization? You better believe it. Am I going to go on to his report and point and click? Doug, now, you guys, here's the other great thing about taprooting. What if I just, do you guys ever have a rep that joins your team and you just can't get them to do anything? Okay, yeah, me too. So what do you do in that instance? Do not show them what they have to gain, show them what they have to lose. Fear of loss. And by the way, you can be excited about this, because here's what I'd say to Doug in taprooting. Here's what I would say to Douglas. I'd say this. I'd say, Douglas, dude, look, I know you're busy. I know it's crazy what's going on right now. Can you jump on Zoom for a minute? I want to show you something. Okay, great. I know you've been really busy the last week, the last 10 days, blah, 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 whatever. I want to show you what's going on in your business. Well, Douglas may not even know how to log into his back office. He's new. So we get Doug in the back office, and Doug looks and he sees all these names and he goes, well, yeah, I know I introduced you to Louisa. Who's Luda? Oh yeah, Luda's Luisa's best friend. You didn't know her? Oh yeah, she got started. And well, who's Brandon? Well, Brandon is Luda's college roommate. Well, who's Magda? Magda is the woman who hired Brandon at his first job. Well, wait a minute. Who's Natasha? Natasha lives up in Central California, and they were friends on social media, and she wanted to see what was going. And by the way, Douglas doesn't know any of these people. So two very important things have happened. Here you go. Item number one, you have served your team member. Item number two, you have secured and anchored your business. So you guys, I call it, you are lighting the fire at the bottom of a leg. I want to keep going down, next, until I find that person. And once I find that person, in this example, it was Brian Baker. Once I find a baker, here's what I'm doing. I'm lighting that fire down at the bottom. I'm pouring all the gasoline I can on it, and that fire burns up. And now I can go back to Ryan, and I'd say something like this. Hey, Ryan, you know, your buddy that you introduced me to, Brian Baker, dude, this guy's got me working like a freaking maniac. Like, but man, I do not want you to miss what's going on. We got to build the second and third team, brother. Right? And then who's my next call to? Hopefully someone gets it. My next call is to who? My next call is to Natasha. Hey, Natasha, you know that friend of yours, Ryan, that you introduced me to? Dude, I got to tell you something. Not only did Ryan get started, obviously, but we've got his first rep, and this guy, Brian Baker, is about to tear this up. This guy, Brian Baker, I mean, dude, this guy could go regional vice president. And this is in your team. We got to build another leg for you. Hey, Magda, you know that girl, Natasha, you introduced me to? Well, here's what's crazy. She introduced me to a guy named Ryan, who introduced me to a guy named Brian. Brian is tearing this up. He's brand new. He's already got 20 customer points in his first day. We have a big Zoom business reception going on for him. Listen to the language. I don't want you to miss out. I promised I was going to build you a team. Well, you have a team. Now look at, if Natasha hears the conversation and she goes like this, oh, that's really great. You know, life's really super busy, but no, it's just exciting and everything, you know, but I have a lot of personal stuff going on. And, you know, I say, hey, great. I just want you to know, guess what I did? I taprooted her to get to Ryan, to get to Brian. I am not going to counsel Natasha to do something, but what I'm going to remind her of is that I did what I said I was going to do. And I built an organization for her, and I will continue to build an organization for her. So then here's what happens, you guys. So sometimes in the taprooting conversation, people go, well, Dean, it just seems like you're just kind of using these people to get to someone, to get to someone, to get to someone. I said, hey guys, that is the wrong language. That is absolutely 100% not true. What I'm doing when everybody signs an independent business owner agreement, my job is the leader. And I would, you know, if Mr. Thomas likes this language, adopt it. If not, adopt his language. I would encourage you to be on a talent search. How quickly can you build depth in an organization, and how quickly can you identify a leader to run with? And in my opinion, you've done I did Ryan a favor. I did Natasha a favor. I did Luda a favor. I did Brandon a favor. I did Magda a favor. I did Louisa a favor, all the way back up to Doug. Because I found someone in the organization that wants to run. How great. By the way, you guys, I want you to think about this. When you talk about taprooting, I want you to pretend for a second, just for the purposes of this call, pretend for a second that I was on Al Thomas's team. I'm one of Mr. Thomas's reps. And I want you guys to think about, as we've gotten to know each other, what my reaction would be. And Al Thomas calls me. He says, hey, Dean, it's Al. I say, hey, Mr. Thomas, how are you? And he goes, good. Hey, listen, I want to let you know that the guy that you introduced us to, Douglas, well, he led me to Louisa, Louisa led me to Magda, who led me to Luda, to Brandon, to Magda. And he listed off all these people on my team. Let me ask you a question. How would I feel? Anybody want to take a shot at it? Yeah, Natasha just did it. She just went like this. What? Wait a minute. Who are all these people? Well, Dean, you understand. You guys get this language. I promised you I was going to build you a team. I promised you. And now here's what happens when you've taprooted successfully. You've now given them proof. You've given them proof. So why don't people, by the way, for the record, you guys, I have no way of knowing this other than just either you nodding or raising your hand because most people don't have their cameras on. Does this make sense so far to you guys? Yeah, okay, great. So check this out. You're doing the new person and you're doing your business a favor by becoming a master taprooter. You're finding someone through someone, through someone, through someone, through someone. How do you get someone to get engaged and get going? Here's how you do it. You do it by getting with that person and relaunching their business, right? I'm a huge fan of doing that. You want to know why? Here's why. Because I'm 55 years old and I know life happens. I'm 55 years old and I know that stuff happens, right? I know that's, I mean, I act like a 12-year-old, but I'm 55, so maybe it's about like late 20s, whatever. But here's the deal. I understand that life happens. What a blessing in ATN that you can restart it, relaunch it, reignite at any given time. And you want to know what it takes? It takes a list and some courage. Do you have a list of names and numbers and people that we can reach out to? And do you have a little bit of courage? But here's what you guys need to do regardless of position that you're in. And this is something that I am extremely, I have a very strong opinion about what I'm going to share with you right now. Understand how leadership works here. There is a reason that Al Thomas is a senior vice president. Forget the title. Talk about the longevity of the business, the leaders he's developed, why someone that is not at that position would not follow that leadership doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make sense. His only job is to help you build a business, help you build an organization that creates a result for you that you're proud of. So when I come across people that look at, let me tell you something. There should be like a customer qualified rep or an executive team leader correcting a regional or senior vice president, to me, is nuts. It's crazy. And I've seen it happen. Well, Mr. Thomas, that sounds like a great idea. I don't really want to do it that way. See, when that happens, you guys, here's my first thought. When that happens, I go, here's what I'd say. Great. If you don't get the results, if you do not get the results that you want, you cannot hold me and you cannot hold ACN accountable. Do not. Because I don't know what business you're doing. I have someone on my team who's going to I have someone on my team who's going to correct me on things. Here's what I would say. That is somebody whose attention is being deployed incorrectly. That is someone whose attention is being deployed incorrectly. I'm not open to those conversations. Here's why. I've been doing this for 16 years. I'm sure Mr. Thomas is not open to those conversations. Here's why. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. Why would you guys, here's the deal. The private doesn't tell the sergeant how to step. This doesn't work that way. By the way, if that happens, guess what you have in your organization? Absolute chaos. You have absolute chaos. Now, you guys, do not get this twisted. It doesn't mean that person can't have an opinion. what it means is the leader needs to say, I know you have an opinion, I have an opinion, and I'm going to give you your opinion. That's what it, right? So that's what it means. It means, you guys, there's a reason that people are in these positions. And we want to get you to these positions, but I will not fight someone in the organization. I will not fight someone in the organization about the system that works. I'll have a conversation, but I'm not going to fight them on it. This is not going to happen. Yeah, Chris and Rose are like ego. Yeah, they're just chatting. Absolutely. But here's what happens, you guys. Let me tell you, because this is all going to come full circle. I'm about to wrap everything up. Why do people do that? They do it because they create a distraction, taking away from what, well, this team does this and this team does that, and you know, we should do this and we should plug into that and da 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 da. Listen, let me tell you what to plug into. I'm going to tell you exactly what to plug into. You ready? Watch this. Watch this. Everybody, I want you to get this. I'm going to tell you what to plug into. Plug into what Mr. Thomas tells you to plug into. That's what you do. That's what you do. And guess what's going to happen, you guys? That's going to duplicate out. And when that duplicates out, what happens? You create consistency. And what happens when you create consistency? You create reliability. What happens when you create reliability? You start to build belief. What happens when you build belief? You start to take more action. What happens when you take more action? You get results. And it's that circle. So what I'm asking you guys to do, you guys have heard me say this on many of the calls, have a big vision, have a narrow focus, and do the few things that are required. You guys, there's a lot of you on the call that I'm sure go back to doing what you've been doing. And if it hasn't gotten you the result that you want, I'm asking you to be willing to adjust that with Mr. Thomas, right? You guys, put it to this way. You don't want 5 reps signing up in a month and 5 reps leaving. You don't want 20 customers coming in and 20 customers purging. Now I'm using silly numbers. You don't want thousands of customers coming in, but thousands of customers purging because they weren't really good customers. That's not an advancing business, right? That you're running in place. But something that cures that is a new excited person that you apply the system to. What's the best and fastest way? What is the best and fastest way to find that new person? I think it's getting really good at taprooting. Hang on one second. Somebody's doing a chat. Hang on. Hold on. To everyone, I said, yeah, so big vision, narrow focus, and learning how to be a talent scout, learning how to taproot. And by the way, being coachable to everything is above everything and everything that we're doing. Everything and everything is being coachable to the leaders that you're working with. If you are not coachable to the leaders that you're working with, I'm letting you know right now, you guys, you're making ACN so much harder than it is. You're making ACN so much harder than it is. You do not have to figure this out on your own. Mr. Thomas has it figured out. The other leaders have it figured out. Yes, sir.
I think there were texts, message you. What was number 3?
Yeah, so number 1 is to have a big vision. Number 2 is having a big vision, narrow focus, and be a talent scout, right? And that is your job. You know, they just had the NFL draft, right? You know what these scouts did? Here's what they did. These scouts that the teams pay, they go to these colleges and they watch these guys play, and they watch tape, and they're out there. And now, how do you do that with this whole pandemic? It becomes a little challenging, but maybe not really. Everybody has people that they can reach out to. Everybody has people that they can talk to. And you guys, I trained this the last couple of weeks. So here's the thing: is you guys can create a conversation. How you doing? How are things going? Has this thing affected you? By the way, that's all you have to say, and they're gonna give you a fountain of information. Oh my God, this, that, to your home, the kids, this, you know, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend can't work, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm going crazy. I have a solution. Are you open to hearing about it? That's it. But I'm not gonna go into a peaking phase 1 conversation. This was about a talent search leadership conversation with how to solidify a leg of your business. Look, you guys, here's the deal. I still teach building 3 teams, because here's what I know. that a new person, they're, oh, you know, I'm gonna start 6 teams. Really, brand new person, you're gonna manage 6 teams? Let me know how that works out for you. How about this? How about this, new person? Let's set up and build depth in an organization in a few teams. How do you do that? Get really good at tap rooting. Now, here's what I'm is please do me a favor and do Mr. Thomas a favor. When the new person says, hey, I see you're talking to a lot of people. Yeah, I'm tap rooting you. Don't say that. They don't know what that means, right? This is a leadership conversation. It simply means that you are finding, you guys, just write this down. Just write this down. If you leave with this comment and really understand this, here's all I want you to leave with. A rep for a rep. A rep for a rep. Get a rep for a rep. You get a rep for a rep, watch what happens in your business. Your new person is going to be jacked. You're going to get them a result. You're going to help get these people qualified and they're going to get a check. You're going to help find someone who really wants to run with you, and you've burned, you're burning your business at the bottom. And when I mean you're lighting the fire at the bottom, and everybody is a benefactor. You're working at the bottom of a leg and everybody is a benefactor moving up. Yes, I have a guy on my team. That overrides about 2,700 customers, has an enormous organization. Guess what he's doing? Guess what he's doing? Nothing. Is that insane? Yes, this person is overriding regional directors. Guess what he's doing? Nothing. Now, by the way, is that his choice? Absolutely. Do I think he's a great guy? I think he's a great guy. But he will never, ever, ever be able to come back to me and say that this doesn't work. I never made any money. I didn't. Really? Let's take a look at your report. Your report's so big, you can't even see it all. I did what I said I was going to do, and I went above and beyond and built a massive organization in that person's business. Now check this out, you guys. This will really make you feel good. Could that person restart their business, get into phase 1, and we build 2 new legs and he could go regional director by the end of this year, if not sooner? Could that happen? Yes or no? By the way, you're the hero. That's how I build my business. That's how I build my business. I'm gonna spend time where it is deserved. I am not gonna spend time where it's needed. What is our job? We have to teach people. This is old Jim Rohn. We have to teach people how to deserve our time, right? But in the meantime, understand, while we are involved with a charity, you're not running a charity. Your time is valuable, and you need to do the things that are going to advance your business. And that means finding that next person to run with. Old conversations do not bring in new business. Well, she said this and he said that and this guy and da, da. Okay, we're having the same conversation about the same person. We're having the same conversation about the same person. I'm not telling you to forget the person. But we're having the same conversation about the person who's not doing anything. Why are we well, you know, I really want them to win. But you want them to win more than they want them to win. And that's not fair to you. That's not fair to your organization. And you know who it's not fair to? It is not fair to the person who is sitting there waiting for you to have a conversation with them. And they're like this. They're like, Dean, I'm here. You don't understand. Well, yeah, but I really need to fix this other situation because this person's having a really hard time and they're really emotional. And it's really, look, I'm not being like a hard ass. I'm saying have a conversation with them. Don't be a jerk. Have a conversation with them. But you guys, let me ask you a question. Let's hammer this out. You guys ever have a conversation with someone and you are freaking drained by the time it's done? It's like, all I did, it's like, I am 1-800 complain to Dean. Like, I don't do that. I had a conversation with someone not long ago. I said, listen, my conversation with you is over. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. I cannot hear this one more time. And by the way, for the record, you guys, you know what the deal is. You know, once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a trend. By the way, you can apply that to anything. Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a trend. Something happens 3 times, I got news for you. It's not by accident. That's who that person is. You know, what did Greg Provenzano say a long time ago? He said, listen, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Right? But that's who they are. So it's like, it's you know, I had a lot on my mind. I had some stuff happen this week. I wanted, you know, I hope you guys are, you know, getting something out of this. The idea here is understanding that your time is valuable, understanding that your energy is valuable, and you need to guard and protect that. And one of the ways I have found to guard and protect that is to become a really good taprooter, because when you become a really good taprooter, the odds come back in your favor to find an Al Thomas. Do you guys realize this is bananas to me? There's an Al Thomas somewhere in your city. Is that nuts? There's an Al Thomas somewhere in your city. And here's what's crazy. That person's never heard of ACN. That person, he or she has the contacts that Mr. Thomas has the work ethic that Mr. Thomas has the vision that Mr. Thomas has, but no one has talked to that person yet. Or here's the key part, or they have not talked to them in the way that they need to hear about this. Well, guess what? That could be another phone call. That's you being prepared when the opportunity shows up. Don't have a busboy conversation with a CEO. Come on. What are we talking about here? And don't have a CEO conversation with a busboy. Don't get it twisted. Did I say don't talk to the busboy? Absolutely not. You 100% should talk to them. Work ethic, desire to succeed, want to improve their situation. You better freaking believe it. Got news for you. If there was no busboys, you'd be still looking at your dirty dishes at the last restaurant you were at. Thank God. But how you talk to them makes all the difference. And by the way, that's something that you guys need to get good at. so that'll be how to talk to different types of people. And maybe that'll be another conversation that we have on one of these calls. But Mr. Thomas, I know we're at 9:38, and let's say you've taprooted 6 deep. You're so funny. Let's say you've taprooted 6 deep in one leg. Do you keep going until you find one to run? Absolutely. Don't stop. You guys, why would you stop? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know what, Mr. Thomas? I sent you a text at the beginning of and I don't know if you got it or not.
Yeah. I will call you in about 10 minutes after we get off here and talk to you.
No problem. Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. So you guys, Mr. Thomas, I don't know if anybody has questions, or if you want to have a little bit of a question and answer session, because sometimes the taprooting conversation for a new person, it can be
sure,
whatever.
Let's take a couple questions.
If we're out of time, that's cool as well. Whatever.
No, we love you. And wait a minute, hold on.
Next 2 weeks, May 7th and May 14th. You got it. I'm in.
All right. I tell you what we're going to do. Let's talk about on May 7th, the next 2 Thursdays. Write it down, everybody. Next 2 Thursdays, Mr. Dean Tarrolly. So the next 2 Thursdays, and maybe next Thursday, he's going to talk about how to talk to different types of people. I think that would be explosive. He's great at that. So write that down. How to talk to different types of people is next Thursday's topic. And I love how he's teaching you. So let's do this. If he's okay with it, I think he had his second cup of coffee, so we can squeeze in maybe 3 questions. 3 questions.
Whatever you want.
3 questions, everybody. So question number 1, you could either type it out or take yourself off mute. 3 questions on taprooting today. 3 questions.
Hey, Natasha, I got you. I think I can unmute you. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
So that was amazing. That was gold. This is being recorded, so definitely everyone watch this like over and over and over again. So my question is, let's say if you're working with a millennial, right? Brand new person.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, who do you know? Do you ask them first, like specific people, like let's talk to your parents, best friends, most successful? What are you asking them when you say, who do you know? Who do you know that's what?
Well, right now that conversation, by the way, it's a great question. Who do you know who's been affected by what's going on? Well, who does that include? Almost everybody, right? Okay, great. Do you know who are some people that who are some people that if they see this, you would love to build with them? Who's someone that you would want to be in business with? Right? Who's somebody that you respect? right? Who's someone that has a work ethic, right? Who's someone that maybe isn't crazy about their job? Do you know anybody who needs to make more money, right? Look, unless they're just not hearing the question, you're gonna have 30 people right there. Then when they write down the 30 people, which by the way, I've had people do right in front of me. It's like, look, we don't have anything to do until you have a list. Well, I got my phone right here, right? But I want them off your phone on a piece of paper. You'll understand why. We get to about person number 4, and they go, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "What?" I just thought of my friend Jamie. He would be amazing at this, and that only happens by getting someone to write down. But you know why most people don't do that? I'm gonna tell you guys right now. You wanna know why most people don't do what I just said? They get with a person, the person doesn't have a list, they get them on their phone, they get them to start writing a list down right there before the launch really even happens. Do you wanna know why most people don't do that? Because most people are lazy. Oh yeah, just do it. Well, let's take a look at the name. Oh, you guys, hey, tell me about Bob. And they stop at Bob. And Bob's not available. By the way, Bob's not available. We run out of time in the launch because you spend a bunch of time talking about a bunch of stuff that shouldn't be covered in a launch. That's another conversation, what to do in a launch, right? And the next thing you know, you've run out of time. You've sent one text message to Bob, and but you've had all kinds of great conversation and big vision, but 0 points have hit the system. And you set a date to do a personal business Zoom, and that's all that's happened. That's a challenge, you guys. So when I get with a millennial, hey, I'd say this. Let's say you're the millennial, and I'm launching you, Natasha. I'd say, so Natasha, I'm super excited to work with you. Are you excited about this?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Me too. So tell me, mom and dad, are they positive? Are they open-minded? Are they kind of negative, skeptical? Tell me about your parents.
Not open.
They're not open-minded.
No.
What line of work are they in? What do they do?
Traditional business.
They own a business or they work in a business?
Own a business.
That's great. What kind of business is it?
Gas station.
It's a gas station. So let me ask you a question. If they could get paid from the bills that run the gas station, do you think they'd want to know about it?
I mean, you would think, but they're really, really hard to talk to about anything.
They're hard to talk to about anything.
This is real, by the way. It's real.
I believe you. I believe you. I know it is. So let me ask you a question. But listen to the language, you guys. Listen to what I say. Hey, Dad, bring your camera down a little bit. Dad, bring your camera down a little bit. Hey, there you are. That's my dad. So here's what I would say. Ready? Natasha, here's what I'd say. I would say, so your parents they're not very easy to talk to, right? But they love you, right? If we get you promoted in this, would they be proud?
I guess.
Right? If we could prove to them that this works, would that be exciting in the household?
Oh yeah.
Done. Let's get you promoted. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Who's the next person? Give me a positive, open-minded someone. Who would it be? Who's got your back? Who's got your back?
Well, I know someone named Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, tell me about Mr. Thomas.
So he's an entrepreneur, used to own a brokerage, insurance, mortgage, everything. Like he's
successful guy?
Really successful.
Successful guy? Great. How do you know him?
I met him through someone.
Yeah, and you guys are friends?
Like totally best friends.
Oh, great. So here's what we're gonna say to him. By the way, watch this, you guys. I'm gonna role play this with her for a second. Here's what we're gonna say to Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas, I've come across a business. I think it's really smart. I need your opinion on this. It would mean a lot to me.
Okay.
Now watch this. Okay, right. So check this out. So now I'm sitting with Natasha in a launch, and she's a millennial. Now watch this. Natasha, you got it?
Mm-hmm.
Natasha, you got it? Text that to Mr. Thomas. But you have to text it exactly what I said, word for word. This is the problem, right? So she's texting. By the way, if he's an entrepreneur and he's a business owner, and I found a business and he likes her, and maybe is kind of like looking out for her, he's taking the text.
Mm-hmm. And
chances are Mr. Thomas's text is going to be something to the effect of, "Hey, Natasha, how you doing? Well, sure. What is it? What's going on?" Right? But Natasha, I have to tell her, Natasha, just wait. You have to wait for him to respond. He could be in a meeting. He could have all kinds of, just hang tight. Now watch this, you guys. While I'm with Natasha, what am I going to do? She texted Mr. Thomas. What am I going to do? Someone want to take a shot at it?
Go to the next person.
Go to the next person. So while we're waiting to, but you guys, here's what most people don't do. Oh, no, that's really great. Let me grab some water. Oh my God, I'm really excited. We sent the text to Mr. Thomas. Great, we sent the text to Mr. Thomas. Let's go and let's text some more people. Let's add up 20 of those. Text
Absolutely.
Brian, text Doug, text Ishmael, text Mary, text Latasha, text Dee Dee, text Al, text all these people. And now you start to hear some back. And here's what'll happen. Mark my words. Mark my words. This is what'll happen. I'm gonna physically show you what happens with your new rep. I'm your new rep, and you got me to send some texts out. And here's what happens. Ready? Ready? Oh my God. Mr. Thomas texted back. Right? Someone else texted. Oh my God, Brian Baker texted back. Brian, hey, hang on. And now you're gonna start getting texts back. This is what happens, and now you're starting to create and pique interest, and you're starting to build an invite list. Does that make, but now don't leave that to the new person to do by themselves. You need to do that with them. So if you're a millennial or you're dealing with millennials, you guys, look, I get it. Millennials are not really working a lot, don't really have a lot of money, don't really have a lot of influence. But you want to know what? A lot of millennials, if you talk to them the right way, they're kind of fearless, and they like to be right. They like to be right. So find a way for them to be right. Is this smart, dude? I know it's smart, right? I like to tie them into someone who's had success at a young age. You know Facebook, right? Yeah, I know Facebook. You know how old Mark Zuckerberg was when he started Facebook? You know that most people said he was stupid? How do you think they feel now? Who could we talk to who thinks like that? Now I get them thinking like that. Natasha, is this helpful?
Yeah, so then after that, are you getting, let's say we text about 10 people at once and 7 of them answer. Are you putting them all on that one call, or you're calling them individually with that person?
So here, I just trained my team on this. It's really
Because I
funny you say
had
this.
that
Mr.
happen
Thomas?
with a
Yep.
millennial. We had 16
Yep.
people on that call, and the only negative person on there, he was a pastor. Super, super just negative. And that like trickled down to everyone else.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, so he's a person of influence. So check this out. Okay, Mr. Thomas, are we good on time? Because I'll stop anytime you're ready.
We're good.
Okay, cool. So here's what I do. Natasha sends the text. Hey, Mr. Thomas, how are you? You know, I've come across a business, and I think it's really smart. I really want your opinion. Send. And Mr. Thomas goes, hey, Natasha, great to see you. Great to hear from you. Da, da, da. Well, sure. What kind of business is it? Send. And then the next conversation is going to be, look, I'm not really the person to explain this to you. I'd love to introduce you to a gentleman, or I'd love to introduce you to a lady who can explain this in literally 2 minutes. When would be a good time for you? When would be a good time for you? And then the job is for Natasha to get me on the phone with Mr. Thomas, because I'm going to be able to talk to Mr. Thomas the way that he needs to be spoken to. I'm going to be able to talk to any of you. I'm going to be able to talk to Louisa. I'm going to be able to talk to Luda. I'm going to be able to talk to Belinda. I'm going to be able to talk to Zoe. I'm going to be able to talk to Brandon the way that they need to be spoken to, so long as I have a little bit of information about them. So now I can talk to them in their language. Does this make sense, you guys? This is how I built my business. So I think this is tremendously important information. How do you talk to people, which I know we're going to cover next week, but this is just a little hint of it. So Natasha, that's what I would do. By the way, you guys mark my words. Every millennial knows a Gen Xer who knows a baby boomer. And now that 18-year-old has a 59-year-old business owner in their team because you taprooted. By the way, talking about this conversation coming full circle, that's a perfect example of how to taproot and what can happen from it. Could you imagine if an 18-year-old is overriding the business of somebody who's a CEO? That happens when you learn how to taproot, which is what I just covered. So Natasha, I hope that's helpful.
I'm going to jump in and just say a little bit on that as well.
Please.
I would, instead of put everybody on a conference call, all 16 of them, Ms. Natasha, I agree with Mr. Dean. I would do it individually, because that one pastor spoiled the whole brew. And that's what happens. So I want to individually get them on the call with whoever has the right information. And then the next call I might do with them is put them on that, because it's a way of screening them, I think. Just like sending a video out to people. If you send 25, 30 videos out every day, I like the video because it screens people. Either yay, I'm interested, or nay, I'm not. So that's perfect. So the same thing with individuals. This text comes back, I would want to spend a couple minutes with them individually talking to them. And I'm going to give you something else to say to business owners real quickly, like your mom and dad, or people who are really harsh or strong in their beliefs about, I usually open up with, if I could help you save money on your bottom line expenses, would you want to hear about it? Because if I got to pay $7 grand a month every month for my utilities, for my rent, for this and that, everybody wants to hear how they can save money on their bottom line expenses, on that nut that they got to pay every month. So that's another way of approaching it with business people. If I could help you save money on your bottom line expenses, would you like to hear about it? And man, I never had nobody say no.
There you go.
Because if you could take my expenses down from $7,000 a month down to $6,000, I want to hear what you got to say. That's a saving of 12 grand a year. I can do something else with that money.
Yep.
Back to you, Mr. Tarrolly. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, of course. No. Mr. Thomas, you never have to apologize to me on your call. Let's get that clear. So check it out, you guys. So here's a way to, I think, to melt both of those things together. And again, Mr. Thomas, if this makes sense, I agree with him 100%. One rotten apple spoils the bunch, but the reason that happened is because that person wasn't sorted. The purpose of the three-way call is to sort them ahead of time. So if here's the deal. If I'm a new person and I have 10 or 12 people that I've invited and they're open, right? I'm going to get them on the phone with Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas will invite them onto the group Zoom. So now you have a group of people that he has sorted. He's sorted. So now guess what? You're not presenting one by one by one. You're presenting 6 at a time, 8 at a time, like a PBR, but you've sorted them ahead of time. You guys, here's the deal. If you don't sort ahead of time, you're playing a game of chance. You don't want to play a game of chance. You want to play a game of odds. You want the odds in your favor. How do you do that? Have that conversation ahead of time. I can almost guarantee you, if the pastor had a conversation ahead of time and it was a 3-minute conversation just laying out the basics, you would have sorted him out. He would have sorted himself out ahead of time. And now you're left with a group of millennials that are like this. Oh my God, this is great. I could help my parents. I could do this. I could do something for college. I can do this while nobody's working. I could be working from home. This is what it costs. This is what I could get. Yeah, I'm open. And then here's what they're going to say. How does that work? How do I do this? Plug into Saturday training or whatever Mr. Thomas says is a training opportunity to be able to see the system. That's what I would do. That's my deal. If I can present group by group over one, look, sometimes people need to be presented one-on-one. But I'm going to tell you something, you guys. It is more time effective and efficient to present group by group. And if you get good at sorting ahead of time, you're going to ensure that the people that are on that Zoom want the information and they're open. So I hope that makes sense what Mr. Thomas was saying, because if you do both, like if you sort ahead of time, you're going to know that you have a Zoom room of green and red apples, and rotten apples have been sorted out ahead of time. Let me ask you guys a question. How would you actually feel if you knew that you had 10 red apple people on a Zoom? I can tell you what would happen. You're going to get 2 to 3 reps. You put 10 positive, open-minded red apple people on a Zoom, you're going to get 2 to 3 reps. How do I know this? Because you have a room of 10. You have a room of 10 red apples. Those are the numbers. Play the odds. The odds are the law of large numbers will never fail you, and sort ahead of time so you're not playing a game of chance. There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Well, you're welcome. Thank everybody. We want to thank everybody today. Can we give Mr. Dean Tarrolly a hand, everybody? Can we give him? He's got his dad on here. Hey, Mr. Tarrolly, sir. Mr. Bill Tarrolly. God, I love it. I love it. Man, I tell you what. Hey, today
Dad,
at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Huh?
Dad, bring your camera down. Dad, bring your camera down so Mr. Thomas can see you. There you are.
Thank you. Today at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. We're doing a 1 through 10 on here. Today at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Today is the last day of the 4 horsemen. Today at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. tomorrow, don't forget our call tomorrow morning. We'll have, Miss Roeder will be our special guest speaker tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow night, I'm not publicizing this. Maybe Mr. Riley can drop in on us a little bit. We're going to have at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on this number. It's going to be Ask Al Happy Hour. So you're more than welcome to bring a glass of wine or cocktail, favorite beverage. So tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, shh, I'm not publicizing it, but it's my happy hour. So it's Friday. It's a happy hour at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Coast time. Bring your beverage with you. We're going to sit down like we're on a couch in a lounge and cut it up and have hors d'oeuvres. And so tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Ask Al Happy Hour. And with that, I'll see those at 1 o'clock with some people on here, 3 o'clock today right here, showing the plan. And then tomorrow, 9 o'clock, Mrs. Roeder will be with us, our special guest speaker tomorrow morning. And we'll have Mr. Dean Tarrolly back to back for next 2 Thursdays. And tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Friday night, 6 o'clock, Ask Al Happy Hour. So God bless you. Can we give Mr. Dean Tarrolly one more hand, please? Because he did an outstanding job. I mean, that was amazing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.